All right. Hello, hello, hello. Welcome, everybody, to the All Things Kingdom podcast with Jan Dorval. Special guest, Brian Berger. Welcome to the show, Brian.
Good morning, Jan.
Good morning. So, everybody, this is my brother.
Good morning.
This is my brother. We are meeting in the middle. I call this the middle. Brian lives in Florida now. We both grew up in North Dakota, and we are sitting in poolside in sunny Arizona. So, I wanted to have my brother on today because I'm always calling him and asking him questions as a Spanish teacher about different countries. And recently we just finished a unit on Cuba. And so I have all these questions for him. And Brian, how long have you been in Florida?
It'll be 11 years this spring.
Okay, what's your favorite thing about Florida?
The weather, the beach, the ocean, different food. Probably the weather, though, coming from North Dakota.
So what would you, so if you had to pick worst thing, what's the worst thing? Is it the humidity or is it those hurricanes?
I'm probably used to the humidity, but it is tough in the summer there. But the hurricanes are good. They're not good, obviously. Been a lot of the last year, but the thing about a hurricane compared to maybe a blizzard or actually a tornado is they move 30 miles an hour, so they could be 7 days away. So you can, if I need to get my kids together and fly to North Dakota or to Arizona or just even drive to Orlando, I guess it's a positive thing. The hurricanes are a lot slower moving and more, you got more information than you do like a hurricane, or I mean a tornado.
Or a blizzard? I never thought about that. Because you could be driving, all of a sudden you're stuck in a blizzard and you are out of luck. There's no prep time.
Or tornado.
Or a tornado. And a hurricane you can prepare for.
Yeah.
And you don't get them as bad where you live, right?
So far, I'm not.
So far.
I've lost maybe 11 years. There's probably been half a dozen, and I've lost one storm shutter. But I've been lucky. There's been, like a month ago, there was a hurricane that came through. There was a lot of tornadoes that affected a friend of mine up in Stewart, which is 30 miles away. She just moved back to Ohio, but her townhouse got destroyed. So it's just a luck. I mean, that could have been just as easily mine as hers.
Or my high school friend, Beth, she's on the other side, and she said that the hurricane water level came right up to her driveway. She said it's way too close for comfort. So, do you anticipate retiring in Florida?
I think I'll always have a place down there they don't have a state sales tax. For the hurricanes, all the houses now, since the clothes are different, they're all concrete, brick, all where I live at, I don't even have hurricane shutters, so the glass is rated for like 250 miles per hour. So yeah, I think I don't know where my kids are going to end up, but I think I'll always have a residence, even if it's like a townhouse in Florida, and then maybe spend the summers at your lake cabin when it's humid, and the winters, out here and visit. So
yeah, that sounds fun. I'm in. So my husband wants to, when I retire, sell. So we might be coming and staying with you for a month in May, or not May. It would be September.
In between the
September, October, yeah.
Everybody listening, the best time when I have my friends come when they can make it. When a lot of them always have an open invite, but when it's the best before all the snowbirds come back and before still warm in the October is probably my favorite month, and it's my busiest month for work, but it's awesome because low humidity. The restaurants aren't on wait lists yet. So September, halfway through September, October till probably 1st of November is probably the best time, specifically where I live, because, like I said, the weather's perfect, the ocean's still warm, the restaurants aren't crazy full yet because of the snowbirds, and then the humidity is perfect.
Nice.
It's actually nice to walk outside and our glasses don't fog up at 6 in the morning. So
Good. Then I'm going to put my reservation in. So speaking of work, so you work for Mer
Merchants Market.
Merchants Market, and you've worked there for how long?
It was just my 6-year anniversary.
And
So
Merchants Market sells in the Caribbean to like you work for you travel to 27 different islands.
our some islands aren't really like Haiti isn't very. It's a tough island to travel to, and then some of the smaller islands I have reps that go. Like I can't. I have 14 outside sales reps and probably half a dozen inside sales rep on my team. But my company goes to 27 different countries. We don't do anything in the States. We were started uh, 58, 59 years ago by a lady in St. Thomas area. And basically, long story short, she had a restaurant, wasn't getting quality food items or items to sell in a restaurant. So she came to the States, Florida, opened up a food service distributor. Now we sell, you know, our kind of our big goal is we want to do 300 million in sales in the Caribbean. And I've been kind of tasked to direct us towards that, which we're getting closer every year. And what we did a few years ago is we diversified and we bought a produce company, which saved us. So during COVID, when no one was traveling, the airplanes were empty or grounded, we still had containers of food going to the Caribbean. So yeah, so we're diversified. We went from when I started, we were in 4 or 5 countries. Now we're in 27.
That's amazing.
And we used to do all food service, and now we're a mix. So we're good ownership. I have a good boss, and future is great. And hopefully, I can stay there till I'm about 63, and then shut her down.
Yeah. So what is your favorite place to travel to?
Oh, that's a tough one. There's so many pluses and minuses.
What's the easiest place to travel to?
If you don't have a passport to the U.S. Virgin Islands, so that's St. Thomas, St. Croix, and St. Thomas, St. Croix, St. John's, which is part of East Line to St. Thomas. So no passport; those are the easiest. I like if I had to buy land tomorrow and or a place that I had to just if I could only go to one country, I really like Aruba. Aruba is very safe. I have a 16-year-old daughter that if I went there, she could hang out at the pool and walk around if I was out working and I had no. It's very friendly. They don't export anything. It's all tourist driven. So it's like every Aruban that lives there, it's almost like they're all on the convention and visitor bureau. Yeah. So it's like, and everyone's got I part Aruba. And then they're saying is if you know, you know, it's just because everyone in Aruba wants you to come back. So they don't, that tourism is 99% of their industry, and they have chefs from all over the world. Uh, Aruba is kind of a melting pot. They're Dutch under the Dutch flag, but one time I felt so uneducated because I had a 19-year-old server. She spoke English probably better than I did. She spoke English, Spanish, Dutch, German, and then Papamento, which is kind of a mixture of Spanish, Dutch, and English. And she was 19 and spoke 5 languages.
Wow.
So it's a very friendly country, awesome food. And the easiest job in the world would be the weatherman in Aruba because it's 84. It's windy there. It's always like 15, 20 mile an hour winds coming up off from the south. It rains like 15 minutes when it does rain. It's kind of like I think I was describing to you guys yesterday. Aruba is like if Phoenix was touching the ocean. It's very arid and dry. Beautiful, beautiful beaches. But there's other. I mean, I've been there probably the most. St. Thomas is wonderful. That has mountains. So it just depends on what you like to do. Aruba, Bonaire, Curacao, those islands are different because they're out of the hurricanes. So that's one of the reasons I'd like to live there. or like I like to travel there. I don't really have to worry about the weather as much. Then there's some beautiful country. St. Lucia is almost kind of like Hawaii. It's huge mountains. St. Martin is my favorite. I have friends, as you basically, I kind of tell my friends or I go home from my and go to my reunions and stuff. Like, hey, what are you doing now? And instead of going, hey, I do that. I sell food to my friends. Well, some of these friends, now 10 years later, I've been here 12 years, almost I've been down here 10, 11 years. I get to be really good friends with the owners and the general managers. So when I go travel, it's for work, and then I get to sit, hang out with them and enjoy the local culture. And some of these islands are just a mixture of people and religions and cultures, and just so it's fun to kind of step outside that Midwest Lutheran. They just see different, yeah, just how our upbringing is. So it's different to see different, kinds of foods and cultures and languages, and so I work hard, but I really really enjoy the travel and getting to meet different people and different cultures and different. Yeah, it's interesting.
So, of course, you didn't see yourself doing this when you were, I won't age you, but he's older than me, 4 years. But in high school, you took Spanish. You took Spanish in college. You took Spanish in college. I don't know why you did. Like, you just thought it was easy, or you thought you kind of needed it, or why'd you even take it?
I had some. I needed a level 4 proficiency if I wanted to get a. When I went to school, right away when I started, I thought I was going to be an attorney.
That's right.
So I took political science, and that degree you needed to have a level 4 proficiency in a foreign language was one of the requirements. So I took Spanish, and then the girl I was dating was in Spanish, so I was like, well, she can kind of help tutor me a little bit.
Yeah.
And then, but now I wish I would have really took Spanish, because I'm hiring, and if anyone has a Spanish bilingual, that would help. So if you want to travel to different countries, get a hold of Jan and give me your resume. So
Yeah, I was gonna say that too. Yep.
and Spanish is a so I mean, there's so many countries. Our biggest customer is in the Dominican Republic, and I go there and I just hope that I can catch some words, and just to try to be more endearing, or it's
Yes.
just better. So
Oh, they love it. They love it. When I've traveled to Spain and I've traveled to Mexico. And in Spain, I was on a missions trip, so I got on this like trunk, this other on the red box. And I get on the trunk and then I give my testimony. But they wouldn't want me to speak it in Spanish in case I used a word that was from South America, Latin America, and it was a different word that I was taught, and that would offend them. Well, going into Spain, I was already an American. So I was already they were already offended because they didn't like us. And in my experience, and everywhere that I went, they're like, they didn't want to help us. They didn't want to. So in trying to speak Spanish there, and I've told my students, trying to speak Spanish there, they're like, you said that wrong. I've gone down to South America and in Guatemala and Mexico, and they're and in the resorts. And if you're trying and you want to learn it, like they'll ask me Spanish or English, and I'll say, Español, por favor, yo necesito practicar la lengua. I need to practice. They're like, oh, ¿tú hablas español? Oh, solo un poquito. I'm just like, no, 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 just a little bit, because I'm not the expert. You are. And that just, they're so open, and they just want, and you can just see it's almost like they wear their heart on their chest. It's like, oh, but I found out in Cancun, it wasn't the Spanish, because there's so many different dialects. Oh, she came to the door to explain turn down service. Neil and I were so green at traveling. We're like, oh, well, we don't need chocolate on our pillow. No, 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 no. Turn down service isn't just chocolates on your pillow. It's getting the coffee pot ready. It's all these other things, but it's also a chance for the mates to get like for them to get a tip, to earn some money. And I didn't understand, and I didn't mean to offend. So she came to explain it to me, and I said, muy bien, muchas gracias, adios. I shut the door, and I looked at my Neil and I went, I have no idea what she just said. I said, I didn't get one word, not one. And so it must have been, I'm thinking it was Mayan, because I didn't understand. And then her boss, who looked like you, came to the door to explain us turned down service. But ever since then, though, we didn't get the services that we. I mean, I didn't mean to offend, but apparently I did. And it was a language barrier. So that language barrier, it, it's huge. But do you find that? Well, obviously you're still successful, and obviously you go to all these different countries, and you can still communicate.
When I go to the Dominican Republic, one of our specialists, produce specialists, she speaks, she's fluent. So and that doesn't always happen. And then I try to get drivers, when I go, and if I have a lot of drivers on my phone all over the Caribbean that are bilingual, and sometimes they'll wait for me or they'll help. So you just have to
It's all about
just plan,
relationships.
and that's kind of I'm not a hard sell guy, I'm a relationship guy. So,
Right.
and then, so if your customers know that you're sincere and you try to, learn the language and the culture, uh, they're more helpful as well.
Yeah.
I, when, this is, my kids were little, so this had to be probably 15 years ago. But Medora and I went to Cancun, and then we went on a field trip down to, it was like Chichen Itza or Xel. It was very far south. So it was, anyway, two of our servers were from Belize, and they were I was trying to talk to them, order in Spanish, and just, it was horrible, I'm sure, but they appreciated it. He said, because all of you, he kind of generalize, all you Americans and Canadians come down here and just think that, you talk to the servers and the local people like we should just know, and it's like, so at least, he goes, yes, you're horrible. Your Spanish is horrible, but at least um, you try. And it was funny because this was at an all-inclusive place, because they don't know. And I said, can you have some drinks with us? Because if it's all inclusive, does it matter if I get? And the guy looks at his boss. I remember this like it was yesterday, and his boss says, four. And then it was us two, and then so we had drinks down. Yeah, and so when you say the mind, that's what it was. It's a different culture, uh, just like where we're from. The, we talked about this yesterday. The Sioux tribe and the Hidatsa tribe and the French, the Chippewa, they all have different. You know, you can't just generalize Native American. The same thing. You can't just generalize Latin. So when I travel, there's proteins and spices that might be prevalent in central Mexico that they've never heard of them in Puerto Rico. So it's fun to travel. It's fun. My palate, but I've liked, I was kind of a ribeye, and growing up we had pot roasts. We grew up on a cattle farm, so we ate a lot of beef, and I still love tenderloins and pot roasts and stuff. But now, I was telling you yesterday, 2 years ago, I got stuck in Thanksgiving. I spent in Aruba by myself. I'm not because it was awesome. I had a red snapper that was the whole fish. They take the insides out, they leave the head on, they scale it, they put deep slits in it, they bread it, and then they pan fry it. And it's it might not sound appetizing or look, but it's the skin and the fish. It's unbelievable. And I would have never tried that. You couldn't have gave me that, living in Bismarck 20 years ago, but now I look for that on the menu. So
That's really good that you said that, because I'm trying to teach my students. I have freshmen, so I have 14, 15-year olds, some 16, 17-year olds in Spanish 3, and we just had that Cuban fiesta. Well, if they don't like the food, they'll just say out loud, that's disgusting. And I'm trying to teach them etiquette, respect. This is probably why they don't like us over in Spain. Or, when we show up, we're all arrogant and think we
yeah,
should just speak English. And, my palate is, things are hot, spicy hot. And I'm not used to that. And in different cultures, if the Mexican mama is going to bring you a plate of food, you're going to finish that plate of food, and you're going to finish the next plate of food, and you're going to until you can get somebody to like save you, because it's disrespectful not to eat the plate of food. and mama, she's going to go without food so that her guests can eat. She will starve. She will feed her family first, her kids first, her guests first. And if she doesn't have any food left over, she won't eat. And I was trying to teach them that, like, that's, you don't necessarily have to like it, but to tell the whole world is disrespectful and rude. If you have to excuse yourself, go to the bathroom, politely and put it in a napkin and figure out it and then figure it out. Know what you have to do if like have a plan. When I went to Spain, I had a plan and I wanted to know what is the proper etiquette if I'm at somebody's house. And those are things that you have to learn, but respectfully and kindly and but our palates can change over time, right? I mean, like I can get used to at a time. I mean, I might have some stomach issues right away, but um, because I mean, growing up, our spice was ketchup.
Yeah.
I mean, but there's a like my students love to get Takis because we can get those all over in there. They got a kick to them. I can eat like couple Takis, and I'm like, it's getting kind of hot for me, but I kind of like that flavor. Or when students make homemade salsa, and it's got a kick to it, but it's got such good flavor. It's savory. What's the word?
Savory.
Savory. Sabor. It's savory, and then but it's got a little kick to it. I can eat, and then I'm just like eating, and then I'm like, all right, can I leche por favor? I need some milk. Can somebody grab me some milk? I'm crying. But anyway,
It's good if they at least try it.
yeah,
I have a 16-year-old daughter, and I'm kind of a foodie, and I bring her to places, and she orders chicken strips or a hamburger at this. But she's getting better. But now it's surprising. Like we went to a sushi place, and she always just wanted this plain Jane, and I ordered it, and then I tried a couple other ones, and I didn't tell her what it was in it because I had fish eggs
right.
or raw eel or whatever was on there, and she tried it, and then when we were done, she ate more of that. So sometimes you don't necessarily need to tell them exactly what's in it,
Yeah.
or like if they don't like it, they don't like it. But I don't. What annoys me is if they say they look at it, oh, I'm not going to like that. At least
Right.
try it. So
At least try it, right? Yeah, I'm the one would rather try it, not knowing what's in it. Because if I knew what was in it, I get that. It's like all of a sudden, like, because Dad did that when I was growing up, and I was all into venison, and I wanted to eat venison, and he told me that we were eating venison, and it looked like a roast, and I'm like, and something just told me he's not telling me the truth, and I went and I looked at it on my plate, and I'm like, that's not venison. I'm in junior high. I've eaten venison enough to know that's not venison. And I finally, before I even took a bite of it, I went to the garbage can and looked for the wrapper that it came in. Of course, it was wrapped in butcher paper and it said stamped beef heart. I'm like, yeah, Dad, I'm not eating that. It's just I'm not doing it. Well, you would have eaten it had you not known what it was. Maybe you're right about that, but I just can't do it. So I would try it now though. I would try it now.
there's things that even when I lived in Minneapolis, I had an authentic. The owners were from Mazatlan, and they over the holidays they made some stuff that wasn't on the menu. That if they would have told me what it was beef tripe, which is.
Oh yeah.
And I was like, I would have never ate that, but I tried it. And then they told me what it was later, and I was like, well, so I keep my mind open. Some
Yeah.
things I don't like. I mean, there's local food I might
Yeah.
not care for, and they can have a high-end turtle cheesecake that's not good, and you think it would be good. So it just you just try stuff, and if
Yeah.
at least, and then, but I think you're right. If different cultures, the Finnish, I was in Bonaire with a Chinese family, and the mom, I always they buy a bunch of they spend millions of dollars for a company. I'll take them out for supper. Well, they were kind of half annoyed that I stayed in a hotel instead of at their house, but I need internet, and I wasn't comfortable with that. But the other part is I try to pay for supper, and the mom, she was an older lady, couldn't speak any English. She was offended that I try to pay for. But I didn't know that, so I try to do more research.
Yeah.
And the best part is that I try to eat with chopsticks, which I'm horrible. And the lady couldn't speak any English, but she showed me how to hold it different. And so it's fun to different different foods, different cultures. But I think what Americans and I'll include Canadians in there too, just is that we travel, we just expect everybody to, like I'm not saying entitled, but maybe you should at least know 10 Spanish verbs and 20 nouns so you can at least fake your way and at least make it look like you're trying to fit in and get along. And it's, like Spanish out of every country we go to, I'd say that's predominant in the Caribbean. So
So if you speak any Spanish, you're going to be able to travel throughout the Caribbean, and you're going to be able to.
at least fake it for a little bit.
Yeah, right.
And Google helps on your
Well,
phone
and
and
they
stuff,
do
but
have, this might be, taking my job away someday, but good thing I'm close to retirement. But Lola, when Loana just went over to Costa Rica, and she got some earbuds that at least she can hear what they're saying in English. They'll translate it into
cool.
English for your ears. And then yeah, they have all sorts of apps, but that you can use to help you travel, where you can at least make an effort. Yeah. Um, but the basic things that if my students have to take Spanish, they take it because if they take it because they have to, it's for the elective, right? So they really want to learn it, but they end up learning it anyway in my class just because that's just the way I teach it. They pick it up and they can't not know it, but they always ask, they always know, can I go to the bathroom or can I use the bathroom? Or where is the bathroom? And I'm like, you need to know, like in Spain, I needed to go to the bathroom like immediately yesterday, and I had to find one and pay for it. So I had to go get the coin, and I didn't know where that was. And we're in like the town square. We're in like a food show. We're like it was I can't remember what it's called. And it has all these cases of tapas and olives and all these, but it's huge. It's an outdoor indoor market, and it's huge. And I'm like, okay, so where do I buy the coin? And you don't know. And then you got to go find out where you can put the coin, where the bathroom's at, all without like wetting my pants because I had to go to the bathroom so badly. But we finally figured it out, and all was well. And you have to put the so you go into a normal stall, but you put the coin in the stall, and then it'll open it up, and then you can go to the bathroom.
Yep.
So there's all these little things that you see. I saw that on a show in London too. I'm like, and the guy got in trouble. He got picked up. I'm like, don't use the street. And he did, and because he couldn't pay with whatever he had, he didn't have the right stuff. Here comes an officer. I'm like, you shouldn't have done that. But
No, it's good to travel, and then I'm going. So Morgan graduates next year, and her and I are going to do probably like a London Paris deal. Well, I'll try to get more. I mean, I won't know French in
no,
a year, but I'll try to figure out the cultures and what I know that Paris has a horrible reputation for crime, so I'll make sure if phones are, or maybe I'll use a different phone or a burner phone, or maybe
sure,
I'll just insure stuff more, or just be
sure.
more careful. So, but it's good to kind of prepare to travel. And as far as like second language, I wish one of my youngest will be able to speak Spanish pretty well, but I just think it's good. It doesn't necessarily have to be Spanish, but
Right.
and it helps you. So with the different languages, you can kind of, with the Spanish, you can maybe kind of have fake Portuguese, or so
Yes.
if you went to Brazil,
Yes.
or you can even some of the nouns aren't always, or verbs aren't always conjugated the same, but at least you could kind of
Yeah.
wing it sometimes
Oh
and
yeah.
hear different words and like kind of guess the main.
Well, even in Spain, they use a different word in Latin America for basketball than they do in Spain, but they knew that and they know that, and they're like, maybe they're offended, but they can't. Like if I'm trying to buy a basketball at a store in Spain, they're gonna know what I want, and they're gonna sell me the basketball, begrudgingly maybe, but they know that I wanted a basketball. I mean, so they know that too. So, um, what was I gonna ask you? Shoot. Okay, so here's my question. So you're hiring and you need sales reps, right?
Yeah.
So do you know off the top of your head the difference in pay for somebody who doesn't have Spanish as opposed to someone who does? Do they have a bonus, sign-on bonus? Do they get paid more out of the?
They would get paid more, but they'd get the job. If
Oh, they wouldn't get.
all things being equal, they would get the job. It would just
Okay.
if I get 52 resumes for one position, and let's say half of them have the food service background, half of them are, you're the thing about like my competitors, the big food service, they have different like president's clubs. So if I look at your resume, and even though I didn't work for the competition, but I see you worked there 22 years and 7 times you were the FSA Circle of Stars or the, you know, PFG top President's Club. Well, then that's more okay. That person is aggressive. They're a closer. They can make the relationship builder. And then if it's in the States, but if I'm looking for someone that needs to travel and they have all that, and then the next resume has all things are equal, they can speak Spanish, then they would probably get to this position, depending on how they interviewed and whatnot. But it's the foreign language is important, and especially where I live, there's it's a very Latin influenced state. So, and then obviously where we sell to is very Spanish is one of the major languages. So.
Yeah. So, okay, so I'm going to have my students watch this too. So we were just been studying Cuba. Now I'm telling them, I mean, I'm searching it, I'm looking it up, and I'm also calling you. And I have a student from Cuba, and she's going to ask her mom. And she's going back to Cuba, but she's got family there. And I looked it up, and it said, like, because we were watching this video, but the video is from, I think, 2014, and they're trying to get all these entrepreneurial restaurants and stuff in there. But we don't sell to Cuba, and they don't sell to us, correct?
No, today, no. About 7, 8 years ago, for about 6 months, I did at a different company. We did export to Cuba. It was more like humanity. It was like more rice, and it was food service stuff, but it was more. I think they just to get them food. But today, no, and it's just. It have to be it's political, so maybe the new administration could get things rolling. It'd be better for both companies, both countries to exchange ideas and trade. But it is what it is, and I mean it goes back to the 50s and 60s, and I guess
And so what if I wanted to take my students on a field trip to Cuba? It's not going to happen.
I don't think you can go there through the United States. You might be able to go to Cancun and then Cancun over, but then if your visa's so that's not, you might get trouble there. So, or you could maybe go with one of my best administrative people is from Cuba, and he goes back. I don't know if he could bring a guest with, but you and I can't just go fly out of Miami to Cuba.
Fly out of Miami to Cuba. So, but I think if you have like a specific thing to go there for, obviously family you can go back for. I think it said
maybe an athlete if you're in
maybe an athlete. And I thought it said like a report, like if you're doing something for reporting, journalism. I think journalists can go there. Okay, I'm just making sure that I was understanding that. She's going to go ask her mom, but she's confused because obviously she can travel there, and why would she know about India? So that was understandable. Yeah. And I was just thinking maybe I could go even. She'd have to translate for me probably, but go visit her mom and ask her mom myself.
Yeah. I've seen it. I mean, I think you fly right over to Cuba to go to Jamaica, and it's only, heck, I think you almost can see Cuba from Key West, but it's
only 90 miles. Yeah. Yeah, we learned that. It's only 90 miles. All right, let's see here. Okay, so right now, what is your favorite food? Top food to order from a restaurant? Sea bass?
Sea bass, if you're buying. Otherwise, my staples, my reps give me a bad time. I kind of order the same thing, but I'll try. Proteins, I like sea bass and filet. And then, now I'm kind of picky. I don't like grass-fed meat, so I like certified Angus. And
sever the relationship right now. That's all I order.
Grass-fed?
It's grass-fed beef.
Really? It's very gamey. I don't.
Okay.
In fact, I'll make. We sell, and I'll look at their order guides and see if we sell in certified Angus beef or if we sell in New Zealand grass-fed. And if it's New Zealand, then I'll get fish there. And I'll try it, and then, maybe once a year I'll go and I'll try. I'll just we have the grass-fed filet on special with this and this, and I'll try it and I'll eat it. But it's like should have got the. But that's what we were raised on. But if your palate's changed, but I don't like grass. I like all grain or all beef is grass-fed, and then they're finished on grain.
Right.
But the grass fed, that's all it is. It's just grass fed. So it's a
Interesting.
different. So you like it, but that's fine.
I do.
So and then I like things have changed. When I was going out for something different was Olive Garden or Italian food.
Yeah.
It was meat potatoes and uh, I like it's kind of it's not the same, but how on Sundays you take white bread and put butter on it, and then you'd have your mashed potatoes and gravy and roast beef or roast pork, and you kind of dunk your bread and butter into the gravy. Well, I have one of my friends is from India, and when I go to St. Martin, one of the places we like to go, it's completely different food, but it's the kind of same feeling is that they have this naan bread, uh, and they put garlic butter or butter on it, and then they have this. It could be mutton, it could be chicken, it could be beef, and it's in these little pots. It's kind of braised, and it has gravy in it. Well, when I eat it, and then it comes with rice or whatever or lentils, but I'll take it and I'll take so it's almost like the naan bread is the white bread with butter, and then I put the meat and the gravy, so it's almost like the Sunday. It's heavy. I want to go to sleep after I eat it, but that's delicious. Thai food is you always think Chinese food, but it's different. Chinese food more deep fried and heavier, and Thai food is more. I think it's healthier, but it's just more crunchy and more. I like Chinese food too, but so it's just I like kind of where you're at. Try something like if we down here, I would try the local different Latin or Mexican places, just because you might have some more authentic.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like, but I suppose if we go out to that place we're looking at tonight, I'll have the sea bass for sure.
What do you know much about the Filipinos and the Filipino food?
I do.
Oh, really?
My favorite, our company sells all through the Caribbean, and the food goes on. It's different from the States. The food goes on these big, 300-foot long shipping vessels, and we feed my company's located in the port of Palm Beach, which is one of the big terminals in Florida. Well, 16 out of the 17 captains are Filipino. They're awesome shipping and boating, and so we sell them their food that they eat year round. So we have lots of different things that I've learned, and this relationship started probably 5 years ago. And the thing that I like, that I think their coolest thing that everyone would like, is they take these suckling pigs that are like 20, 30, 40 pounds, and they put them in these boxes, and they cook them all day over charcoal, and the skin gets crispy, and it's like it's one of their the shipping, one of the captains people have a birthday that they do that, or special occasions. So a lot of different things that we never sold before that we had to go source. That was,
Really?
you look at them, I didn't even know what they were then. Now I know exactly what they were.
We have a lot of Filipinos in Williston. We have a lot of Filipinos in my neighborhood. I probably have 2 or 3 neighbors just right around my house where I live. I work with I work with a lot of them, and I just love them. They're so sweet, and um, we have some cultural activities, some events, and some potlucks, and they'll bring their Filipino foods, and everything I've tried, I'm like, yes, yes. Yeah, I mean, like, I love it all, and I can't. Sometimes the deep fried stuff will bother my stomach just because
Yeah.
I'm not so used to it. And so I have to say no to that. Like my neighbor actually cooks food and then she sells it. There's people coming there all the time and you're like, what are they selling? Oh, that's their food. You can smell it too. But her little egg rolls are to die for, but I can't eat them. For noodles and stuff. But then they do a shish kebab, like a meat on a stick that we'll just take to the lake but they do it on over charcoal.
Yeah, that's the
Yeah.
charcoal's off. That's what I mean. It's
Yeah, and so we don't get the same thing, but and then sometimes she'll just say, Miss Jan, and she'll just bring that to your mom. Give Miss Jan one because she just knows I love them. But And there was some Netflix, I can't remember what it's called, some Netflix series, and it was based out of the Philippines. And I was talking to Dean, and he's from. I said, Dean, where are you from? And he told me, I don't remember the name of it, his hometown, but he's invited me to travel with him. So if I ever want to go and see it, and he knew what show I was talking about, and so did my neighbor. And I said, well, how authentic is that, and how true to life is that, but I said, because I've seen that, I actually want to fly to the Philippines. And there's so many people in Williston that that could they could come and put on their own cultural festival. So that's really cool about Williston. Williston's actually becoming a melting pot. We're actually getting more restaurants and um,
No, I went to get Chinese food, or when I was in high school, there was a bank in Minot in the basement that was like that was the only Chinese food that was when I was
like it
younger.
was underground.
And then things changed, but I mean, it was the McDonald's and Hardee's were the big, so
Taco Bell.
I really like how like all the things have changed in Williston for just
Yeah,
different cultures and
lots of
that
different
being
cultures.
accepted. And
Yeah.
the what I did like though is the like the captains that I deal with. It's Mr. Brian,
Yes.
and when they spend a lot of money with us, so they're a big customer, and they're like, hey, if it's not too big of an inconvenience, could you? I'm like, well, of course, you always want to help your customers out, but they almost make it where a couple of years ago, one of our boat we donate to the merchants will donate, I think like shrimp, a turkey, and then I'll run to Costco and get a whole bunch of different like candies and stuff. So that my company donates that to them. One of the ships didn't get their stuff, and they came into the port on New Year's Eve or on Christmas Eve, and I talked to the liaison and said, "Well, I want them to get. How do we get? The port's closed. And I think
Sure.
there's security, but there's just like one gate's open, and it was just a hassle." And I called the guy, and he was like, "God, we need to get these guys their food." I said, "You tell me where and when." He goes, "Well, it's Christmas Eve." I said, "Well, these guys are awesome. Last time they were here, we couldn't get to them." And I said, "So I only live like 25 minutes from work." I said, "If I don't even know if I can get into the port." And a long story short, I met the guy, and we got these guys their candy and whatever our donations were, so they could have it on Christmas Eve. But and yeah, I would probably do that for all my customers. But when they're so the captains, their culture is they're so professional, and it's Mr. Brian and yes sir, and what can we do to help you guys sell us more food? It's like most people aren't like that.
No,
So
no.
no, good food. And then a couple of the captains will call me and, hey, if it's not too big of a problem, can you go stop at Walmart and get a cake for my customers? And I'm like, oh, our company will buy you a cake for his crew. So
Right.
they have long jobs, and
Yeah.
I get seasick, so I couldn't do it, and
Right.
I appreciate that. And we have a good relationship with their almost like a sister company to us. So
Yeah. Well, good. I'm glad I asked. Very cool. Sure that everything is golden here. Okay, we're sitting. I mean, you can see we're trying not to squint, but I turned my camera around, then we were shaded. So it's definitely sunny Arizona. It was a little chilly though. It's getting warm now. All right.
beautiful.
Well, I appreciate your time. I know I know you're on holiday or vacation. I guess depends on where you're at in the world. Call it holiday. I don't usually say that. I don't know why I did. But I know you have to get back to work. So I appreciate your time, and let's do a little cheers here for with our beverage, my brother. So what is so let's see what he says, you guys. So what is your number one health goal for 2025?
My health goal. I have to have a little toe surgery, and I'd like to just get back in the gym and play more ball and feel healthier.
So it's not to give up Diet Mountain Dew?
No,
You talked right. Okay, well, I'm not going to quit drinking coffee either, so cheers.
everybody's got to have one bite. So
All right, well, I'm going to pray over you and pray us out. So, Heavenly Father, I just thank you for my brother. I thank you for our relationship. I thank you for restoration, for this time in our lives and our journey that we can hang out, that we can share stories, that I can, ooh, this make me teary, that I can text him during the day and say, hey, we're doing some. What's the food in the Keys that I need to get, and what's this lobster called, and this beautiful relationship that we are experiencing as adults. And Lord Jesus, I just ask you to continue to send your angels of protection, your traveling angels of protection around him, everywhere he travels, everywhere he goes, coming and going. I pray for his health, for just I keep hearing, like uh, your stomach is, what do they call that? A stomach where you can eat anything, like this rock solid stomach that palatable that can eat anything that and I pray a hedge of protection around your immunity system, that every place you travel, you just come back and you're refreshed, you're revived. No sicknesses will befall you. I pray Psalm 91 over you, that that you just have a really strong immunity system that continues to bless you and keep you safe as you travel. I pray over your family, over my nephews and my niece, and I just pray for your the next few years as you work, and that more joy. I pray for more joy and more joy and more joy for you as you continue to live out this beautiful journey. And I bless you, viewers, for listening, and we thank you, and we say peace till next time.
Amen.
Oh man, it's so bright, I don't know if I can see. And there you go. All right, bye.